So in my final results, I'm not sure if there's a clear winner. Hello again, plant friends. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you guys an update on the Hoyas that I have had propagating in LECA. I know a couple of you have been asking for an update on that, so I thought I would share that with you. If you haven't already, please go ahead and take a moment to subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notification bell, all of those things. It really does help a whole lot, so thank you so much for doing all of those things. And without further ado, let's get into it. So if you haven't already seen that original video where I go ahead and take those cuttings and put them in the LECA and all the parameters of my experiment, I'll go ahead and link that video for you. Basically, I took two almost identical cuttings from my Hoya obovata and I stuck one in water, which is usually my preferred way of propagating Hoyas, and then I stuck one in LECA. So today I have an update for you. I did take a video about 2 weeks into that process, and I will go ahead and insert that clip right here.
All right, so I did want to do a very quick update on how my Hoya obovata are doing in my little comparison video. So here we have the one that's been rooting in water. Hopefully you can see, I'll try to get it to focus, a few little roots here. I'm going to try to get some better light. But hopefully you can see a few little roots on there. She's just kind of sitting in the water, putting on roots, doing her thing. All right, now let's check in on the one that is in LECA. We'll go ahead and pull it out. And hopefully you can see, looks like not quite as much in the rootness, but it looks like those roots are actually a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, whereas the ones that are in water, here, I'll try to pull it out and put them next to each other for you. So you can see those kind of big and white and fluffy, and these are a little bit thinner. So even though they're longer, they're a little bit thinner and there's a little bit more of them. So I'm excited to see, nothing really a huge difference yet. Maybe I would prefer the one that's in water just slightly, but we're going to stick it back in the LECA and let it grow maybe for a couple more weeks before we do our final check-in.
So as you can see, at about 2 weeks into the process, not a whole lot of difference. In fact, I felt like the Hoya that was propagating in water actually was a little bit ahead. We are now probably about 4, maybe 4.5 weeks into this process. I've been putting off filming this video. I was out of town last weekend. If you saw that video, I took a tour of a couple of Denver nurseries. But here I have for you kind of my final results of propagating in water versus LECA. So let's go ahead and start. I'll just show you kind of how they're set up. So as you can see, very similar. I will say the one that is propagating in water definitely has a little more advantage, a little more growth. It's got actually a brand new little baby leaf right there. But as you can see, I'll pull this out of the water so that you can see it. These roots are looking pretty good. You know, there's a reason I stick with the water propagation for my Hoyas. I never ever fail with that. It always gives me these nice roots here. And like I said, it's got a little new baby leaf there. So it's a really great propagation. It's doing really well. Now for the one that is in LECA. So if you remember my original video, I actually stuck it down into the middle of the LECA. One thing I did change about halfway through is I moved the stem out here to the side so that it would get a little bit more light. And as you can see, the roots on this thing are just insane. I'll go ahead and pull it out of the LECA if I can so you can see. And it's actually stuck in there pretty good. I know there's a few LECA balls here. So I'm going to try not to drop any of these, but if you can see that, yes, the roots tend to cling to the LECA, but that's quite the root system on that thing. And it does look like it's got a little bit, it's trying to have some new growth right there. So in my final results, I'm not sure if there's a clear winner. Like I said, this one has decent roots on it and a new baby leaf. I would feel perfectly comfortable sticking this into soil. But then the one that has been propagating in the LECA has this epic root system that, I mean, you can't deny that's a pretty awesome rooting. So I'm very excited about that too. Both methods I think work really, really well. And like I said, at the 2-week mark, they looked about even with the water being a little bit ahead. And here at the 4-week, kind of depends. Do you want the bigger root system or do you want maybe this new growth? Probably both really, really great options. I also did want to take a moment and update you guys. I told you I was a little bit curious about the whole semi-hydro process. So I did actually go ahead and purchase some more LECA, some nutrients, and I've converted a couple of plants over to that semi-hydroponics just to see how they would react. Things that I felt would take the conversion actually really well, or things that would be very easy to replace if they didn't. So I thought I'd update you a little bit about that. If you want to see more, let me know, more specifics on that whole updating process, but I'll show you kind of what I've done, what I've converted. So the first one is this Pearls and Jade Pothos, and it has been doing really, really well. It's actually done even better and put on lots more new growth since I converted it to the Semi-Hydro. Super easy process, so I just have it in some of the LECA beads here. And then I have it in a nursery pot that's got lots of holes in the bottom, and then the cache pot, which can actually hold the water. It's taken the process really, really well. I had almost no wilting, almost no lost leaves. And like I said, it's put on a ton of new growth since then. So it's taken the whole conversion process really, really well. I'm really excited about this one. One of the other plants that I decided to convert was my Hoya. I think it's a carnosa. It looks like a carnosa, but I'm still not 100% sure. So it was just a little cutting, and when I originally got it, it was just these big 2 leaves here and a long stem. It had recently put on these 2 new leaves when it was in soil, but it was one of those, wasn't doing great, wasn't doing horribly. Actually, since I've converted it, it started putting out 1, 2, 3 baby leaves, right? So this has only been converted to semi-hydro probably for about 2 weeks now, and it's already put out 3 new leaves. Again, same idea. It's in a little nursery pot that has some holes in the bottom. It's got the pot that can hold the water, and it's got some water and some nutrients in there. I did want to share with you kind of the process that I've been using. So I take the pot that can hold the LECA beads, I rinse off all of the roots, convert it over there. I am not doing anything with the pH quite yet. I know my pH is probably a little bit high here, but I also do live in Colorado, and my water quality here is really, really excellent. Get a lot of that fresh melt of the snow, and that feeds into our water system. So I'm not overly concerned. That is kind of my next step into that semi-hydro kind of experiment that I'm doing. I do want to do that. Just haven't had the time quite yet. And I'm still, like I said, only a couple of the plants are converted. But what I did purchase, because I knew this would be the most important part, I did go ahead and purchase some of the nutrients. I did want to find one that was an all-in-one system, and not necessarily, I know some people do the 3 different kinds of nutrients and then they mix those together. I went to my local hydroponics store and found this. This is the General Hydroponics. It is the Flora Nova. And this is an all-in-one system, so it's kind of got a combination of all those nutrients that you're going to need. And this is the grow version. They do also have a bloom version if you have flowering plants that you wanted to get to bloom or create some fruit, things like that. But I felt like for the initial stages here in this experiment, that this would serve my needs. It would be a nice, easy thing. So I do mix a little bit of this with the Super Thrive. I am just so obsessed with the Super Thrive. It always does really great things for me. So I mix a little bit of those 2 into the water and use that to water and to feed my plants. So far, I am liking the process. Like I said, I'm still kind of in the experimental phase, wanted to convert just a few plants. I'm going to see kind of how they do over time. The ones that I've converted seem to be doing really, really well. A couple of them, I do have a couple more pothos and things, have lost a couple leaves or wilted for a couple of days. And like I said, if you want me to go through that whole process and talk a little bit more about this grand semi-hydro experiment that I'm doing, I would be more than happy to do that. But for right now, I wanted to give you an update on the propagating in the LECA and then a little bit about these beginning stages as I'm starting to kind of play with semi-hydroponics. So thank you guys so much for joining me for this week's video. Keep an eye out. Next week's schedule might be a little bit weird. I'm planning some interesting things for the month of December. So the timing on some of my videos might be a little bit weird, but hopefully you'll stick around. Like I said, I have some fun stuff planned for December. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.